Hello, 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 and welcome to a special edition of It Is All a Work. It is me, your boy Big T, and we are here to go through the QR code that was found on SmackDown last Friday. Of course, as always, Hanji Manji and Dreschen will be here later on today at 9 p.m. Standard Eastern Time to review the entirety of SmackDown, but because of the complexity and how long it takes, well, just me in general, to go through the QR code itself in the Uncle Howdy / Bray Wyatt / Wyatt Family mysteries and puzzles, I figured I would go ahead and bring this to you guys separately, put it on the YouTube. If I can put it on Twitch and Facebook and Reddit and everywhere else, I will do that as well. But let's get into it. Now, I should also mention, you probably noticed my eyes are very red. I will just say this, kidney stones are a bitch. Now, SmackDown. So Triple H is going to come out and he's going to unveil the SmackDown titles, right? Well, the story that we're going to talk about here today is the QR code that came up. So, that being said, this is the first sign. Now, if you watched last week, or not last week, but if you watched on Thursday, I should say, we went into this. This is the sign of Pluto. Now, the sign of Pluto means rebirth, basically. And hold on to that because that's going to play in a little bit later. Moving on to the Raven that showed up. The Raven was also in there last week. Now, the Raven itself is usually an ill omen. Now, you have the Raven inside of Pluto. Now, the Raven inside of Pluto could mean many things. Now, obviously, it's the imagery of these two things put together, right? What do these two things mean? And then they are wrapped together. And again, this is one thing that a lot of people aren't mentioning for some reason, but that's what that is. The two things put together. So, right, you've got your sign of Pluto, which is going to mean your regeneration and your transformation and your rebirth, right? And then you have the Raven, which is a symbolism of transformation. It's a symbol of magic. It's also associated with the underworld and the spirit world, and it can also mean that loss is coming, and it could be an ill omen, like bad things are coming. So you put those two together, and you have a rebirth is coming, and it's an ill omen, and it's going to be magical. What's going to happen to some people, and to others, it's going to be bad. Now, again, this is all going to play into each other, which is what makes this so amazing and worth following. But we're going to get a QR code. Now, if you scanned this QR code, or if you were watching on a device that was able to rewind, because it happened rather quickly, but if you scan this QR code, it's going to take you to www.wwe.com/YSNSY51S. And this is the picture that you are going to see. If you save this picture, you realize that the name of the picture was Strabizo -- and then there was a 32 character sequence, numbers and letters. Now, Strabizo in Latin means I will squint, which gives you a hint to the next part of this puzzle. If you squint hard enough, and if you look hard enough, you will see the words I am nobody at the top of this picture. Now, I'm going to go back just to show you. So that's the picture, and at the top of the picture, right before that little bump, which I would assume is hair, like a ponytail of some sort, I am nobody. Very quickly, I want to talk about this 32 character sequence of numbers and letters. So I have looked online and tried to figure something out. The thing that meant the most to me is that it is an MD5 code, which is a code that is used to verify a file, right? So you would use this code to verify that a file isn't corrupted and that a file is what it is, that it hasn't been touched, it hasn't been altered in some way. And somebody on Reddit said that this code will translate in some way to Azerty. Now, the interesting thing about this is that Azerty is a keyboard. It's a keyboard setup, very similar to the QWERTY keyboard setup that we use here in America. The Azerty keyboard is a Latin keyboard that was used in France in the late 19th century. Now, a fan would see that and they would say, oh my gosh, Latin, they've been using Latin, France, backlashes in France, and all of this is great. However, I reached out to the one person. Again, I only found one person who said this, and when I tried to reach out to them, I did not get anything back from them, and I used a decipher for MD5 code, and I could not get that to come out. So I have not been able to substantiate this claim, but if that is what it means, then, you know, obviously Backlash is going to be where we'll see the debut of at least some of the new Wyatt family members, obviously probably under a different name. So as we were saying, if you click on the head, it's going to take you to another site. Now this is going to be www.sol_RUTILO, which is Sol Rutilio. Sol Rutilio means bask in the sun in Latin. And I think that it's very important to note here that if Sol Rutilio means something, which it obviously does because it means bask in the sun in Latin, then that means that most likely the other URLs are going to mean something as well. It's important to note as well that the number 51 or 5 and 1 have been in 2 URLs so far. Now this is going to play in later. Out of the 1 came 5, or 5 were saved by the 1. And I think that you'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. But moving forward, when you click on that I am nobody, it's going to take you to this site, the Sol Rutilio, and you're going to see this. Now what this is, and we talked about this on the Raw review on Thursday, this is a take on the allegory of the cave, Plato's cave. It's called a bunch of different things. Again, the full explanation is in the video for Monday night that we recorded on Thursday on that podcast, also on Spotify. So you're gonna see this, and like I said, it's another take. This picture itself, I did an image search on it. This picture, it seems, was made by WWE. So they're taking this idea of the allegory of the cave and they are running with it. If you save this picture, you're going to get another name, and this name is going to be Liberandum. Liberandum is an inflection of Liberandus. Now it's the what is considered the neuter version, or the unisex version of Liberandus. Liberandus means to be freed or liberated, released or delivered, or absolved and acquitted. Now 4 out of those 6 words make a lot of sense of what we've been talking about. Freed, liberated, released, and delivered, obviously. So Liberandum is the name of that picture. Very, very interesting. Again, keeping everything very tied together. Now, in the picture to the right, you're going to see a fire. Above the fire, to me, it looked like Aramaic or Hebrew letters. And now I will say that I have not been able to come up with anything. Now, I have found Aramaic and Hebrew letters that look similar to this, but nothing comes out of my translator generator that makes sense, that would pertain, that I feel like is worth mentioning. So I don't think I think that's just a red herring, to be honest. I think that was made to look like something so that we would get caught on it. But I do not believe that it is anything at this point. Now, last week, we found something else. We found that there was something hidden in the HTML code. So on this website, if you hit Control U, you're going to see this. Line 4, same line as last week. Thank you, Artificial Ellis. The world needs to know. Now, the interesting thing about this is I thought Artificial Ellis was going to lead to something. If you searched it, there would be something else somewhere else. However, there is not. There is nothing. Artificial Ellis, as much as I can tell, is a handle. And I think that this is the person that either wrote the code or made the stock photos. Maybe it's the artist for this photo. Either way, this doesn't seem to be anything huge. Just a nice Easter egg. So thank you, Artificial Ellis. The world needs to know. Now, below the picture, we're going to get something else. Something a little bit more interesting, in my opinion, if you were to ask me. So we're going to get this video. Now, I'm going to play the video for you all. And I'm going to break down the video. I went through this video at 0.25 normal speed to see every little piece of everything that could be in it, and I have unearthed something that isn't concrete, that is admittedly a little bit loose and maybe a little bit reaching, but I think that I believe what I saw. So let's go ahead and watch the video, and then we're going to break it down piece by piece. All right, so moving through this, the first thing we're going to see is a baby in a womb. Looks like even cells moving around, like almost close to conception, or a baby growing in the womb. Then we're going to cut to a baby outside of the womb, sleeping maybe in a crib. Obviously the colors change. It's a video of a baby in normal coloring, and then it changes to nighttime coloring from day to night. At this point, it's important to remember that Pluto, the sign of rebirth. So in the very beginning of this video, we have a baby being born. Now, after that, we see the words, I set them free. And then after that, we see the words, out of the miry clay. I searched the word miry, and I searched the phrase out of the miry clay. And every time I searched it, all I came up with was a Bible reference from Psalm 40, verse 2. Which is to say, he also brought me up out of a horrible pit, out of the miry clay, and set my feet upon a rock, and established my steps. Which makes sense. If this is Uncle Howdy or Bo or Taylor Rotunda, either way, talking about Bray, I can see that. I understand that. And it would appear this entire situation is Taylor Rotunda or Bo Dallas or Uncle Howdy paying homage to those before him, which would mean Bray Wyatt or Wyndham Rotunda, and looking forward to those who are left. Now, from there you see a picture of a cave, and then you see an animation of someone in a cave, the same cave, walking. Then you see, I opened their eyes. Now this is where I see something that I think, now you're going to get obviously an eyeball and someone looks like they're touching the eyeball, but after that you're going to get something that no one has commented on, and I'm going to be, hopefully, I think, the first to comment on it. At about second 13 to 14, somewhere in the middle of there, you're going to see, if you pause it right there, what looks like Alexa Bliss. It looks like her eye. It looks like a side profile of her. and you can see her eyelashes and things like that. And it's just a very quick flash, maybe even half a second. And then you see the words, "while you did nothing." And then you're going to see the coordinates backwards, and then they flip forwards, and then you see a quick showing of the coordinates, and then the video ends. So, all of that, crazy, creepy, exciting. I go with exciting. As a matter of fact, I'm sorry, I did forget right here. This is what I'm talking about. This is the part of the video that I'm talking about. As you can see, to me, that very much looks like a side profile of Alexa Bliss. Now, maybe I'm reaching, maybe I'm seeing what I want to see, but to me, that 100% looks like her. Now, moving on. So if you're going to go and you're going to look at the coordinates, it's going to take you to this cave. What is this cave? Well, this cave is the Cross Cave in Krishna Jama, or Grahovo, Slovenia. Now, why is this cave significant? In January, there were 5 people who went down into a part of the cave. It was 2 tour guides and 3 tourists, and they got stuck down there, and a rescue party had to be sent to retrieve them from the cave. If you actually go to Street View, you can actually walk through the cave, which is very interesting because as you're going through the cave, you'll see random photos scattered about the cave. Ultimately, I noticed that July 2014 is when all of these photos were taken, so it's just random that those pictures are kind of there. That doesn't make any sense for them to be there. It doesn't make any sense to the story. So I think the big story here is 5 were rescued by the 1. And I think that would be it. That is the video. That is the picture. That is the QR code. And like I said, I think what this means is that we know that there will be 5 members of the new Wyatt family, at least. The 1 could represent Bray Wyatt, setting Braun, Alexa, Eric, and Bo free with a mystery 5th person. A lot of people have been saying that Matt Hardy will be the other member, but personally, I just don't know about that. I do not know if Matt Hardy's going to come back. He just went to TNA. He just won a title. It does not make any sense to me. I think what's going to happen is I think that Uncle Howdy is going to be the one that set the 5 free. I think that you're going to see Eric come back. You're going to see Braun Strowman come back. You're going to see Alexa Bliss come back. And I think that maybe they all won't come back at the same time, but I do think that the first part of this story is going to be a backlash. I think that things will become more and more clear as time goes on. I think the backlash is going to be the time that we see the debut, at the very least, of Uncle Howdy, maybe even Alexa Bliss. And if not Alexa Bliss, Eric Rowan and Braun Strowman. And as for the other 2, I think that we have 2 new members that we have yet to see. What do you guys think? That's what I want to know. I want to know what everybody has been thinking about this. If you're as invested in it as I am, if you're as excited about it as I am, we're going to do a 1,000-foot look at this tonight on the podcast. But I wanted to jump in depth, and I'm going to commit to every time that we have a QR code, I will be jumping just as deep, and I will be posting what I find. My friends, thank you for joining me. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe, as the banner says. And if you want good news and good reviews, remember, my friends, you come to It's All a Work. Have a good day.